had just completed training 3 weeks prior, yet I was already overwhelmed by this conflict. The Thren were dominant, demonstrating relentless cruelty and devoid of any mercy or compassion. When they seized one of our colonies, their first act of tyranny involved annihilating our birthing pools and slaughtering our young while still in their larval stage. Helplessly, we retaliated as effectively as we could, but our vessels were inferior, smaller, slower, and underarmed. We were ensnared in a battle for survival, yet our commanders persistently pursued diplomacy. Following each negotiation, the enemy pledged to halt their atrocities, but their promises were empty. They consistently deceived our leaders, who naively believed their lies like credulous fools. I was deployed to the 3rd Response Unit, equipped with one of our species' most advanced yet still laughably inadequate ships compared to those of our adversaries. The one advantage of my ship was its compact faster-than-light engine, a rarity for such a small craft. While resting in my bunk and conversing with my wingmate, we lamented our recent retreat from a triple assault, abandoning an entire planet and dooming all those left behind to a brutal fate. I began, my arm covering my eyes as if to shield myself from the grim reality we had imposed on our kin. I think the humans were onto something. My wingmate responded with disbelief, puzzled why I would involve such unpredictable beings. Humans, their actions truly opened eyes, I explained. When humans were first introduced to the galaxy, their enthusiasm, constant smiles, and optimism about their future made a significant impression. They were thrilled to learn they were now sophisticated enough to join the galactic community. I recall the images broadcast across the galaxy, capturing their joyful expressions. The ambassador, literally laughing in the face of the human representatives, bellowed with amusement, "Advanced enough. Who cares if you're advanced? Your planet is rich in resources. That's all the advancement we need." The smiles on the humans' faces faltered, though they tried valiantly to maintain an optimistic demeanor. However, their hopes crumbled when the Dolans extracted untold millions of tons of resources and refused compensation, taunting, "Now you know to get payment up front. That knowledge is the only payment you'll receive from us." Additionally, the Selene Empire deceitfully invited 100,000 humans to their planet, only to enslave them upon arrival. When the humans, outraged by the treatment of their people, demanded their release, the Selene Empire mockingly responded, "Very well, we are sending the 100,000 to you now," and instead launched 100,000 Viridium-tipped missiles at human cities and settlements. Following this, the Jandis Collective offered medicine to treat the Viridium burns, which initially seemed miraculous, healing the burns and related illnesses. However, it soon became evident that every treated human succumbed to excruciating death. The Collective had exploited the humans as test subjects for a biological weapon. After enduring these betrayals, the humans severed all ties with the galaxy. They became the butt of many jokes and insults, refusing any communication, leaving hails unanswered, and isolating themselves within their sector of space. Yet 2 years later, they re-established contact with the galaxy, broadcasting a stern message: "We welcomed you with open arms. Some of you laughed at us, and that's fine, but if you betrayed us, this is your only warning run." The galaxy initially dismissed this as an empty threat, laughing at the foolish humans, but their laughter didn't last long. Despite being the target of widespread ridicule, humans managed to analyze and enhance the weapons and technologies of their adversaries. The first hint that humans might become a formidable power occurred when all 7 core worlds of the Selene Empire were devastated by tens of thousands of a new type of Viridium missile. These missiles reacted violently with the atmosphere, rendering the air unbreathable and instantly immobilizing people, even thousands of miles from the impact. While most of the galaxy initially dismissed this as a fortuitous accident that the humans had inadvertently developed a more effective weapon, this perception changed dramatically soon after. The Jandis Collective began experiencing a horrific epidemic as world after world fell victim to a disease that caused severe necrosis, leading to the disintegration of flesh and limbs. The galaxy came to realize that this was no accident, but a calculated act of retribution by humans. Medical teams from various worlds who studied the virus discovered that the Jandis Collective's own bioweapon, initially used against humans, had been combined with a human disease, leprosy, to create a lethal new pathogen. The gravity of the situation prompted a galaxy-wide plea for mercy. The Dolans, among others, desperately apologized to the humans, offering to repay their debts twofold, consumed by fear of retribution. However, the humans' response was uncompromising. When over a dozen large ships suddenly appeared in the skies above the Dolan homeworld, the Dolans were obliterated, and their world was devastated. The humans issued a stark message that reverberated across the galaxy over 600 years ago: do not come near human space. Do not approach us, contact us, or even speak of us. If any ship, whether for peace or war, comes near, it will be destroyed. There will be no further warning. This decree marked the end of any interaction with human territories, highlighting their transition from a mocked civilization to a respected and feared power. Protect, yet only seek their own gain. As I float here, powerless, I implore you to heed my call. We seek not conquest or conflict, but merely the chance to survive, as you have. Silence stretched, suffocating and complete. After what seemed an eternity, a crackle broke the silence. A voice, chilling yet unmistakable, responded. State your purpose clearly, Pilot Javan. Gathering my courage, I responded, I seek an alliance, not out of convenience but necessity. The T-Empire decimates us, and while the galaxy watches passively, I believe you, who have faced similar betrayals and isolation, can understand our plight. We ask not for intervention, but guidance how to protect ourselves, how to ensure the survival of our race. The silence that followed was heavy, charged with unspoken judgments. Finally, the voice returned, less harsh this time. Your words have been heard, Pilot Javan. Stay your position. You will not be harmed without cause. We will deliberate your request. There, in the void of space, with my ship immobile and my fate hanging by a thread, I waited. Days turned to weeks, and food and hope dwindled alike. Then, as suddenly as they had stopped, my engines whirred back to life. A message appeared on my console, terse yet monumental. Instructions will follow. Prepare your people. Relief, profound and overwhelming, washed over me. The humans, once the galaxy's pariahs and now its enforcers, had decided to engage. Perhaps it was not the grand alliance I had envisioned, but it was a beginning. A chance for survival and perhaps, one day, for thriving. As I set the coordinates to return home, a new determination filled me. The galaxy had written off the humans, and they had proven them wrong. Maybe, just maybe, they would help us defy the odds too. As I journeyed back, the stars seemed less like the countless eyes of a cold and indifferent universe, and more like beacons of a new hope. Against the communicator, shattering it. The ship's interior was now filled with the sharp scent of burned electronics and metal, the silence oppressive. Exhausted and enveloped in frustration, Javan slumped against the wall. His breath was heavy, his thoughts racing as much as his heart. He had expected many outcomes from this desperate plea for aid, but not this rejection, this directive to flee, echoed the very abandonment he had accused the humans of. As he sat in the wreckage of his own making, the silence was suddenly broken again, not by the communicator which lay in ruins, but by a soft, unexpected hum. Another system on board activated, one he hadn't realized was still operational. A screen flickered to life, and text scrolled across it. We do not act out of cruelty or cowardice, Pilot Javan. You misunderstand our stance not out of malice but necessity. The galaxy has not learned it repeats its cycles of conflict and betrayal. We chose isolation not to ignore the plight of others, but to prevent the perpetuation of these cycles. We watched you because we see potential, not for war, but for change. The message paused, then continued. Destroying your engine was unnecessary. We have disabled your ship temporarily. You will not be welcomed into our space, but you will be observed. Show us that your people can change the path they are on. Show us they can indeed stand up to the ET and change the narrative without our intervention. Do this, and we reconsider. The words struck Javan harder than any physical blow could. They were watching, judging, deciding based on what they saw in him and his people. He was alone, yes, but not unobserved or entirely without hope. The humans were offering a test, a challenge to prove his race could evolve beyond the galaxy's endless conflicts. With a newfound resolve, Javan began to plan. He had to return somehow, to rally his people, not just to survive, but to thrive, to show the humans and the galaxy that they could be more than just another race caught in a cycle of vengeance and violence. This was more than a mission now, it was a chance to redefine his people's destiny. Communicator again and again, now it truly would be silent. 2 days later, Javan's ship still floated dead in space. He sat on the floor, hugging his legs to his chest, and still bristling with anger. He regretted his rash decision and wished he had died fighting the three, at least that death would have. Meaning it was then that he felt a strange vibration. He looked up and around, trying to discern its source, when a strange voice, a human voice, but speaking perfect Bolka, seemed to fill his head, Emanating from all around him, Pilot Javan of the Balkan Empire, I extend you greetings, the voice said. We have heard your request for aid in your conflict, and having spent the last days researching your plight, we the Terran Empire gladly offer you our unconditional assistance. Javan sat stunned mouth. AP, please stand by for your vessel to be taken aboard the US Kavik for repairs. A thank you. Javan said, timidly unsure if the humans would be able to hear him. Your thanks are not necessary, came the reply. In fact, we owe you an apology. We have distrusted the other races for so long we forgot what it was like to be facing them alone. You reminded us of something we long thought was impossible. What is that? Javan asked Tim. That there can be other races out there, brave, defiant, good at heart races that remind us of us. And with that the words stopped, and Javan saw from his viewport 6 large angular vessels shimmer and appear from seemingly nowhere, huge and bristling with weapons. Help was here, the humans answered. Just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the world to me, so thank you, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.